Flaming barricades and yet further clashes between Hong Kong police and the city's protesters. Despite increasingly firmer repression from authorities, such protests have only multiplied in recent months. This even after Hong Kong's chief executive Carrie Lam abandoned a controversial extradition bill at the beginning of September. For the demonstrators, though, it was too little, too late. They're demanding less interference from Beijing, Lam's resignation and democratic reforms, even as China marks the communist regime's 70th anniversary, an outcome Beijing had hoped to avoid. The protests go back to February, when Hong Kong's authorities put forward a bill which would have allowed extraditions to mainland China and for Hong Kong residents to face trial in mainland courts. Critics said it would have tightened Beijing's grip on the semi-autonomous territory. On April 28th, mass protests hit the streets, though it was on the 9th of June that more than 1 million people turned out in the biggest demonstration Hong Kong had seen since its handover to China in 1997. 3 days later, fierce clashes broke out between demonstrators and police, leaving dozens injured. On the 15th of June, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam suspended the bill. The move failed to appease protesters who called for the full withdrawal of the plan. Tens of thousands took to the streets again for the annual 1st of July march marking Hong Kong's return to China. Late in the evening, hundreds of young protesters wearing masks broke into Parliament, tearing down portraits of the city's leaders and hoisting a British colonial-era flag. Each weekend, clashes and violence multiplied until on August 5th, a general strike paralysed the city. The day would end in serious threats from Beijing, threats ignored by demonstrators. That same week, they began invading Hong Kong's international airport in an effort to raise their profile abroad, with the major regional hub forced to cancel hundreds of flights.